Hi, everyone. I wanted to come on here for a few minutes to talk a little bit about something interesting I heard today. So I'm in the middle of a 2-day training. Today was the first half. Tomorrow I'm doing the second half. And so during the training, I'm talking about grief, the different types of grief, what it looks like, how it's manifested in some places, and it looks different for everyone. And then during a Q&A, someone had made a statement about while I'm talking about this, they're realizing that some people are diagnosed with depression, or some people are experiencing depression or appear to experience depression, but in reality, they may be experiencing grief that has not been resolved. So unresolved grief. So they're stuck in complicated grief. And so I wanted to come on here for a few moments just to shed a little bit of light so you can kind of think about yourself and what you might be experiencing to see if you identify with this, or maybe not, perfectly fine. So what I would like you to do is, for those of you who may be experiencing depressive symptoms, and depressive symptoms can look just like grief. So maybe crying spells, suicidal thoughts, self-harming thoughts, difficulty getting out of bed, difficulty sleeping too much, sleeping too little, changes in eating patterns, just not an interest in doing daily activities, a struggle to do daily activities, a struggle to focus, a struggle to concentrate. And the list can go on and on and on when it comes to depression and experiencing grief. And so what I would like you to do is to get a piece of paper. And what we're going to do a lost timeline, or a life timeline is what some people might call it. So get a piece of paper, and I want you to draw a horizontal line, a line going from one end to the other end of the paper. And then what I want you to do is, on the top of the paper, on the top side of that line, write down those positive life experiences that you've had. So think back to the first memory that you had that was a positive or fun or a happy moment, and write that down. And then I want you to go just chronological order, writing down those things that you've experienced that were positive, that were accomplishments, that you felt good or happy about, or a magical or wonderful moment that you experienced in life. And then on the bottom side of that line, I now want you to write down those things that didn't go so well. Maybe some challenges that you had in life, some down moments you had, maybe some losses you experienced, maybe the death of someone, or maybe you moved to a different school and it was really traumatic for you, or maybe you experienced some type of bullying of some sort, or maybe it was a natural disaster you experienced. But I want you to write down those things that were challenging, that were life-changing, that were difficult for you to go through. And then for a moment, I want you to go back on that list, and I want you to look at those times that you had experienced something challenging and ask yourself, did I ever resolve this? Did I ever come to a place of being at peace? Did I come to a place of accepting? Now, acceptance doesn't mean you like what happened. Doesn't mean you agree with what happened. It just means there's no internal struggle. There's no internal turmoil over what had happened. So you're at peace with what happened. You accept, this is what happened. I don't like it, but this is what happened. And as you're going through this, I want you to start thinking about these symptoms that you currently have. I'm having suicidal thoughts, or I'm having difficulty focusing. Ask yourself, when do you think it started? Did it happen after one of these events? And if so, just simply write down what that symptom is. So let's say you had the loss of a grandparent, and you notice after that loss of a grandparent, you then began to have maybe difficulty focusing or concentrating. And then fast forward, maybe you had experienced bullying. And then you notice after bullying, you began to have maybe challenges with eating healthy. And so I just want you to just take a little note of the different symptoms, different things that popped up for you after each of those experiences. And so when you look back, those experiences that are loss related, such as loss of a family member, maybe moving to a different place, so loss of friends, loss of connections with people, ask yourself, when you look at that list, what are those symptoms that I've written down next to that? Those might be signs that I'm actually still grieving. That might be a sign that I'm grieving something from my past, and I haven't had the opportunity to mourn. I haven't had the opportunity to be able to process and to actually work through the loss that I experienced. And it's resulted in me now thinking I have depression, but in reality, I don't have depression. I'm actually experiencing grief. And there is a difference between grief and depression. And so the core difference, again, the symptoms sound very similar in a lot of different ways, But the key difference is the core reason why it's happening. So when it comes to grief, grief happens because of a loss of a job, a loss of a loved one, a loss of the activities of your limbs, a loss of a connection with a person, such as divorce or separation. So the core to that is loss. Toward depression is this overarching experience of sadness. So there's no yearning or longing for another person. It's just an overarching feeling of sadness. Toward grief is a yearning or longing for something or someone. So just for a moment, I just wanted to come on here, like I said, to just share that interesting perspective that somebody shared. I wasn't sharing that at the moment, but that's what they gathered from what I was sharing. And it's important for us to be able to figure out what is going on with us, for us to find a solution. Some people come from that perspective. I need to find out what's happening to me to know the solution. Everyone approaches healing differently. But I just wanted to come on here and share that for a moment to reevaluate. If you're experiencing depression, pause for a moment and ask yourself, is this really depression, or is this unresolved grief from some experiences, from the losses I've had in my past that I haven't worked through? And it looks like depression, but it's really grief. So if you want to connect with me, you're more than welcome to. What I shared is not therapeutic services, but if you are interested in therapeutic services, you are more than welcome to connect with me at missdelworth.com. Or you can go to Psychology Today. Psychology Today is a great resource. They have support groups, articles. If you're one of the people who enjoy reading, there's a lot of articles about grief. Or you can find a therapist within your local area. Again, check me out at missdelworth.com. Or you can go to Psychology Today for more information as far as finding therapeutic services, if that's something that you're looking for. Again, hope you have an amazing day and live in your greatness.